If there's one thing I know about many of you guys, you love your fragrances to be strong, to be noticeable, especially when they're fresh. This is not always easy to come by, but it does happen from time to time. We did a video about this, and I think a lot of you enjoyed it. If you missed part 1, check it out there. I'm back by popular demand. The demand was popular. And we got a part 2 here. We got 8 more strong, fresh fragrances to consider for the upcoming summer season of 2023 or whatever year it is when you're watching this in the future. What's it like out there in the future? Leave a comment. So the caveat here, as I always need to say, performance is merely a subjective variable. Yes, perfumers do have some control over the strength, over the fixative nature of a fragrance when composing it using certain ingredients. However, when you hear reports from a variety of people, you're always going to get a variety of experiences, because we not only experience our fragrance from the skin, it has to go into the nose. And this little variable,
this little guy right here,
is volatile. Yes, you have to learn how to trust your nose, but always be aware that it might not be giving you the full truth. It's easy for this little guy to get tired and you not to smell something and then you claim, oh, it doesn't last, performance is not great, it's not worth it. Just know that it could be your detection that is in question, not the fragrance itself. In some cases. Nonetheless, in my experience, these 8 fragrances perform with no problem. They might do the same for you, they might not, but either way, I wouldn't buy them because they're strong. Buy them because the scent sounds interesting, and the performance, if it does last, will just be a bonus. Let's dive right. Let's dive right into it. These are loosely ordered. We're not really going to worry about the order too much for now, but I did kind of consciously put these in an order of preference. Not really strength, but order doesn't matter. First one up here is called Gladiator from Sora, Dora. This one, fairly popular in the niche world when people are talking about modern niche fragrances, especially ones that are versatile, easy to wear, alleged compliment getters, and strong performers. This is one of them. Now, to me, this smells in the vein of a Ventus, like a lot of fragrances do these days. Definitely not a clone. To me, it is a bluer take on a Ventus. There is a fruity, sweet quality to it, but there is this mossy strength to it, this mossy, woody depth that does kind of fill out the scent, and I think really contributes to making it last a long time. Ultimately, doesn't really smell all that different as it dries down, but it's going to do the job if the job is to keep you smelling clean and pleasant all day long. That is Gladiator from Sora, Dora. This next one up is not for everyone. This is a polarizing fragrance. This is in the style of an old-fashioned sheep. So it has this very deep, rich, edgy, mossy, animalic feel. However, it is suited for the summertime, but I would be very strategic as to when I wear this. This is called Etruscan Water from Francesca Bianchi. And this is probably the freshest of the fragrances that she offers. Almost all of her fragrances are in this style. Aside from a couple that I've tried, the majority of them are deep, rich, mossy, kind of harkening back to an older style of perfumery. Very good quality, beautiful blends, but edgy. In this case, it is almost the illusion of being aquatic. There is a watery feel, a fresh kind of almost salty nature, maybe a bit of citrus in there, but primarily you're getting a slightly smoky oak moss that can lean a little animalic, especially when up close. So I would not advise making your final assessment on this fragrance like that. Give it a full wearing from your sample, or just spray it on your hand and let it waft to you and then make your final judgment. But just know going in, this is going to be more for the enthusiast. Highly worth checking out if you are interested in more interesting things. Etruscan Water from Francesca Bianchi. This is from a brand known as Soul of Mine. They reached out, they sent this to me along with one other fragrance for women that actually smells super seductive, and it's actually called Seduction. And Grace has been wearing that and it smells amazing. I will be talking about that at some point soon. It's beautiful. But for the men, we have Treasure. This was perfumed by one of the busiest guys in perfumery today, Christian Provenzano. This dude is everywhere, everywhere. Everyone's getting him to make their fragrances. Busy guy. Anyway, this, when I first wore it, I was impressed. I was like, okay, quality's here. It has a robust feel. It is fresh, but it's kind of deep, mossy, earthy. There is this beautiful balance of bright and dark. And then as it sat on the skin a while, started to remind me a little bit of one of our good friends, Aventus, but ultimately amounts to be a different personality. There is a clean quality. You do have aromatics like lavender, you have some citruses, but there's a lot of earthy, woody vetiver, lots of oak moss, lots of incense as it dries down. But I think it's a beautiful, elegant type of fresh fragrance to wear mainly at night. I would reserve this for the evening because of its strength and because of its personality. It is a bit of a darker, fresh personality. Kind of complex, but again, might smell a little bit familiar. Maybe get a sample of this one. I don't know how cheap they are. They're probably not cheap at all, but sample could be worth it. That is Soul of Mine, Treasure. Up next is a fragrance that I've spent quite some time with. I want to say it's been about a month and a half, maybe almost 2 months that I've been living with this fragrance. I just had a sample for a while. The brand sent me a discovery set. I checked out all of them and I chose my favorite one to receive as a full bottle. You may have seen this popping up here and there, but you may have not. This is called Elysian Sonder. Now, Elysian has kind of become known as a newer dupe house on the block, so to speak. They have been making clones, but I think recently this year they've dove into creating their own originals, their house originals. They have a collection of, I think, 5 original fragrances now, and I greatly appreciate that. So what does Sonder smell like? This is their flagship for men, so to speak. When you first spray this, it's going to remind you a little bit of Dior Sauvage. It is in that vein. You do get a bit of this clean, ambroxan, metallic, spicy freshness. Very sexy, very appealing. And thankfully, it diverts as it dries. It goes its own way. It actually has quite a rich base that comes out more and gives it some more character. Sweet, almost vanilla tonka bean. You got some creamy, smooth, but slightly dusty sandalwood, some vanilla, and even some vetiver. So as it dries, it takes that right turn away from Aventus land and sets itself apart as something different. It's ultimately something that's super easy to wear and great performance. Extrait de parfum, it's intended to last on the skin. It's intended to leave that trail. It may not be the absolutely most diffusive fragrance, meaning that it's not going to fly off of your skin because it's a heavier concentration, but it is going to kind of be in the room behind you as you leave. Not overly citrusy, doesn't smell overly bright. Similar to Sauvage, it has that sexy fresh feel. So if you want to draw compliments, if that's something you care about, Sonder could be a contender for that. They do have a great discovery set available, and they also have obviously the full bottles in different sizes. I think they also have a 50 milliliter size. This is 100 milliliters. I'm going to link them down below. Do check them out. Let me know if you've tried them already. Up next is one of the most distinctive fragrances I've put my nose on in some time. When I first smelled it, I actually didn't love it. It was too much. It was very particular, very specific. So green, so green, so green, so green. So incredibly sharp and green, fruity, but in a non-ripe way. Very woody, even a little bit smoky, but mostly green and fresh. This is coming from Oman Luxury. They call it Wanderlust. You may have seen some people talking about this one lately. Again, when I smelled it first, I couldn't say I didn't like it because it was not special. I didn't know if I liked it because it was just a lot. It was like a very loud person, and either you're about them and what they have to say or you're not. But they do stand out, and that is appreciable as long as they're not being disrespectful. As I got to know this a little bit more, I started to choose it as one of my favorites from the house. I was sampling it from a discovery set, and it just started to stand out as something I had never smelled before. Oh my gosh. Black currant is king here. Juicy, fruity, kind of wet green smelling, but not overly sweet. Doesn't smell like biting into a crisp sweet apple or peach. A little bit on the tart side of things. Backed up by a lot of woods, and again, a slightly smoky incense. So you have to love green, almost green grass smelling, but with depth and personality. Wanderlust from Oman Luxury, and yes, incredibly strong too. Up next is a scent. I would reserve this for the evening. I have seen some reports of a few of you saying you love to wear it even during the day. You like how the character develops during the day. It becomes more salty and marine-like. But to me, just the potency of this fragrance and the overall profile of it is not something I would typically reach for when the sun is out and it's hot. I'm gonna reach for this when I'm gonna be on a night out. You're gonna be a little bit classier. There's gonna be a nice cooler breeze. You're not gonna be sweltering under the sun. I would reach for this easily. This is 40 knots from Zergoff. This one has been growing on me more and more. It's overall not what I expected. I was thrown off a little bit by the powdery nature. Powdery, ambery, sweet and warm. Almost like a lot of labdanum or something in here. And I was like, wait, how is this 40 knots? How is this maritime or reminiscent of the sea or oceanic or aquatic? Technically, there is a bit of an aquatic nuance, and it comes out as it sits on the skin. It does get a little saltier, a little reminiscent of the sea air, but mostly kind of sweet, powdery, and ambery. It is known to be reminiscent of Dior Ambre Nuit, but people say the stronger version and maybe the more versatile version. It's up to you to decide if you've tried them both, but either way, I do recommend getting a sample of this. It is pretty popular for a reason, but it's also a bit polarizing. There's, I think, a lot of people who don't really like it, but you got to respect it because it is a distinctive personality. That is 40 knots from Zergoff. Sample first, don't blind buy if you can avoid it. Up next is an obvious one. This is one that I don't need to say a whole lot about because I've talked about it a lot on my channel, and a lot of other people have talked about it too. And it bears mentioning because it fits this category perfectly. Ganymede from Marc Antoine Barjoa. If you're wondering, no, I have not tried the X-Straight Flanker. I plan to do so at some point. This is fresh, clean, metallic suede. Cold smelling, mineral smelling, and a very unique and slightly polarizing element of immortelle, which is a flower which can smell kind of tobacco, hay, but maple and almost curry-like. It's a weird element, but it gives the fragrance its character, if you're asking me. That's all I'm gonna say. Very, very strong fragrance, and it just simply fits here perfectly. That's Ganymede from Marc Antoine Barjoa. Final fragrance from Precious Liquid. This is one of the highest quality, most special, but simple and easy to wear, versatile and long-lasting fragrances on the market. Not too different from Sonder, not too different from Gladiator, in the vein of something that is a no-brainer to spray on. If that's what you're looking for, then this one and those other two that I mentioned are gonna be perfect for that. Any occasion, any time of year, but especially summer is great. From Precious Liquid, we have Salt and Pepper. One of the most realistic fragrances that smells like the name. It smells like salt and pepper. It smells like sea salt in a way. There is a spicy peppery feel like a black pepper. There is a woody quality. There is a little bit of a citrus in there. There is a bit of an herbal aromatic quality, but overall it smells like fresh salt with spice. Doesn't change all that much on my skin. Again, super versatile, easy to wear. It's gonna be fantastic in the air around you. And I find it to be quite long lasting. I think others do as well, but again, your mileage may vary. Definitely the flagship from the brand in regards to one that's gonna appeal to the most people and be the easiest to wear. So do check out Precious Liquid down below. We do have a little discount code where you can save some money with the brand. That is Salt and Pepper from Precious Liquid. Let me know if you've tried it down in the comments. There's another one in the bag. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've tried any of these fragrances. And if you have not, links down below in the description to every fragrance we've talked about. Check them out, experience some new stuff. But again, remember that there's no hurry. Maybe do one at a time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.